Perfect. I'll go next. So my name's Jenna. I'm the customer success team lead, CSM, also here at ClickLearn. I've been with the company for 4 years now. I feel like today we are like around -6, so I'm going to give that like a 7. It's chilly. You guys can't hear me? Perfect. And can you guys just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? I just want to make sure it's working. Okay, awesome. We're having a few little audio kinks here, but I think it's all good now. And then if you can share my screen, I'm super excited to talk to you guys about our 5-minute wins. I love any time that I'm in a call with one of our clients and I can give them a quick tip in our tool that really changes the experience for the end users, improves the experience for the end users, of course. It just makes me, feel really happy, and I think it means a lot to know about these things. There's so much packed into our tool. So we, spent some time putting these together, and I hope that you will also find them useful. So the first one I'm going to talk about today is the new video player. So I have ClickLearn Attain open in front of me here. I'm going to my settings area, and I'm going to go ahead and open up my publishing template. So there's quite a lot that lives in here, but essentially in the publishing template area, you can make changes that will affect every recording in your whole project, both retroactively and in the future. So the nice thing is you can come in here and make changes that will apply to everything, and you can do it at any point in your project. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this entity drop-down list here, and I'm going to select videos. And it's a pretty simple one. All you need to do is go into this appearance tab here, and then under this list, you're going to select new, because you want the new video player. And then you're just going to hit save changes. And that will apply to everything in your project when you hit publish again next time. And just to give like an idea of what this looks like, I'm going to bring up an example of a published version here. So this is something I've quickly published. If we open up a recording here, I can open up our show me video to show it. And I'll just let it play for a second. I've muted the audio here. But you can see already at first glance, there's quite a bit of improvement here with our video player in terms of having like a more modern look and feel, which I know a lot of the feedback we've received from clients is like having a a lot of more control over the video player. There's new functionality in here, so being able to adjust the playback speed so it matches your like pace of learning. Being able to see the different chapters or the different sections that the author has made, so you can jump ahead to a part in a process that you maybe need help with. Often you don't need the whole thing. So there's a few little options like that that make it just a lot more of a nice look and feel. The subtitles have also been updated as well. So you can see they're a little bit more sleek, and they move, so they're not covering one specific area in the video. So that's a quick overview of that. Anyone who has videos as a format included in their license, which is almost all of our clients, has access to this. So really easy to just flip that switch and, you know, delight all of your colleagues next time they log in. And just for comparison, this is our previous video player, which you might recognize. You know, it's still great, but you could see quite a big difference between what you can have now. So it's something that I'm talking a lot about in my calls these days, and just really trying to encourage everyone to switch on if they also like it. I think it's really perfectly fits the definition of a 5-minute win, maybe even like a 2-minute win if you really got into it. The next one that I wanted to talk about is also in this publishing template area. So we are going to go into this recording area. And like I said, this is really, you know, packed with a lot of functionalities in here, so it's worth giving a look. But I'm going to go to this step here called keyboard. And first, maybe I'll show you what it looks like without it being enabled. That could be helpful. So I'm just going to show you an example here. And basically what this will do is it's going to automatically group some steps for you. So if I open up this recording without that function on, we can see that when I click into a field such as phone number here, it's recording a step for clicking into that text entry or number entry field, and then a separate step for like when I actually do the keyboard strokes of typing in a number. So with this setting in place, going back to my settings area here, my publishing template, and I will go back to recording and enable that functionality. And then all of these combine my steps into one, save changes. They're all now going to be combined. So what this will do is it will make things a lot more concise for your colleagues who are following your documentation. So we can see here, oops, I wanted to show you in this one. So we can see here that it's going to save us probably 3 or 4 steps just in this one recording alone. Like so. So now we can see click on the text field phone and then entering the phone number have now been combined into one step. So it might seem like a small thing now, but if you scale that out over an entire project with hundreds of like processes captured, that's going to be a quick win for a lot of people on your team. And then another one, still in this publishing template area. It's a really simple one, but I talk with people every day that, or I'll say once a week perhaps, that aren't aware of this being an option. And that is just simply adding in your own like branding, look and feel. And that's really nice for your colleagues when they come into this learning portal that you've spent a lot of time creating for them, that it matches like the rest of your company's branding. So they don't feel like, you know, where have I been taken now? Like what service am I using? You know, we always appreciate some brand awareness. It just shows the ClickLearn logo here by default, but you could go ahead and put your own there. So it's just as simple as this identity page and, you know, coming in, adding a logo. I can choose, you know, a generic logo here. And have that apply, save my changes, and that again will apply to everything. I can also quickly, you know, match my brand color, like so. And those are just a few of the quick things you can do. I know there's a lot of customization you can do in this, but just a few things like that could already give people the sense of like, this is my portal, and I know that this is part of my like company's content, essentially. So those are a few of my quick wins. I'm going to hand it over to Catherine, who has some great ones up her sleeves to show you. Let's just check. Catherine, can you hear me?
Jenna, did you wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I think I had some mic issues and some audio issues, so hopefully you're able to hear me. If not, somebody can let us know. I'll pass off my topics to Morton or Jenna so they can pick it up from here. But I'm going to go ahead and have my screen shared, if that's okay. And picking up where Jenna left off on 5-minute wins, those were so awesome. It really does just take a couple of minutes. And like she said, it ripples out across all of your content retroactively. So it makes a really big change in a matter of just a couple minutes. Picking up where she left off, I'm going to hop into our settings gear inside of a project. And something that we don't talk about super often is the fact that ClickLearn has text-to-speech narrated videos, and ClickLearn has hundreds and hundreds of voices. So you're not actually committed to the voice that you get that's just automatically set up with your project. You can actually listen to some and find one that fits with your brand voice and your brand standards. So what we wanted to do is just play a couple for you here. If you can't hear them, one of the benefits is this is a 5-minute win, so it's really easy to hop in here, poke around, and find a voice that's going to sound really natural, really clear, and really human. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on text-to-speech settings, and then which they have config, and really thinking about the end users going to listen to 20 of these, maybe 50 of these. You really want to choose one that sounds real and that sounds reflective of your brand. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots next to English ENUS and click Edit Narrator Voice. This is where we're going to show you all of the voice options that we have, and you can scroll down and preview any of them to get a feel for what they sound like as it reads one line of text. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play Jessica, who happens to be one of my favorites. I've been recommending her to everybody. Awesome. So hopefully you could hear that. If not, we're going to post a link or a list of all 10 of our most popular languages in a male and female voice that fits really great clarity, really natural cadence. And I'm going to play one more if that's okay. So if we go into German, again, if you can hear my audio, that's great, but you will be able to hear a breath in this voice if you listen carefully. It's one of those small details that really goes a long way when somebody's listening to your voice and wonders, employee record that, or is that a neural voice? Definitely, we want to toe the line there and wonder. How to implement this is just simply to find it fits, choose it, click changes, and then into your in your publish section, and then just republish everything. This is going to retroactively apply to all of the videos that you've done. Show me, try me, test me. So there's no manual editing. It's one setting and it cascades everywhere, which is really, really awesome. We've had fantastic feedback for those who have really played around. Moving into something similar that builds on voices, let's talk about our speech editor. This is a function that's really great to know about when you need it. It's not something that will come up all the time. So essentially, our neural voices handle abbreviations really well. They handle common words really well, grammar pretty well. And you'll notice here a lot of words that are common that might appear in your documentation already have transformations set up, where NO, we all know, just means number. But like a text-to-speech voice might not know that. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to put the word as it appears here, and then how you want it to be read to the right. Really not something that you need to pay attention to a lot unless you have a specific brand lingo that you want said a certain way, or a word that's really common in your organization. But I'm going to go ahead and show how this works by adding a new text-to-speech transformation. So let's say, the abbreviation for word of mouth was common in your org. We might not want it to be spoken as WOM or WOM in video. So what we might do is just spell out exactly how we want Jessica or whatever voice we chose to read that when approaching video. So I'm going to go ahead and preview that real quick.
Nice.
Perfect. So if you had a chance to hear that, we basically took this from just spelling out all of the letters into how we want it to be spoken. Good thing here is sometimes you want this to be this way in written documentation, which it will stay that way. But in video, maybe it sounds a little awkward to have somebody say it like that. So really, really good one. Another one I think is worth mentioning that came up the other day is sometimes text-to-speech voices don't always pronounce every character on your keyboard. So for example, if you want the video to say type in asterisk Jessica or something to that effect, what you'll want to do is just set up that character here and then add in asterisk. Again, just use cases that might come up when you're listening to your video voices, and you can address that here by going ahead and adding a text-to-speech transformation, and then again saving changes and republishing like we always do to make sure that that change ripples out everywhere.
Nice.
Can I'll just attach a comment to that. So
Jenna, back to you.
Oh.
Sure.
Go ahead, Martin. Then we'll jump over.
I was afraid that I was not audible. That's cool. No, I was just gonna say that sometimes you'll find that if you set up a specific word to be pronounced in a certain way, some of the voices, they just don't get it. And there's unfortunately not much we can do. The only thing you can do in that instance is to try another voice. I mean, we have thousands of voices to choose from. So yeah. When you do, when you do produce with ClickLearn, you're sending your voice string to our voice server, which is then returning an MP3 file to your production server. So yeah, there's not much we can do. The only thing we can really do is we can adjust the speed, and then you have the breadth option in your settings there, right? That's the only thing you can really do. And then of course we can try our best to adjust for the text-to-speech editor. Yeah, so you might want to mess around with different voices if you don't get exactly what you want.
Perfect. That's really helpful. And yeah, that's why having a short list of favorite voices that Catherine and the team have created is so nice, just to know between so many options, these are 10 or 20 of our favorites, because there's a lot of choice. I'm going to go ahead and give us our last 5-minute quick win. If you can share my screen again. So I am in our language settings area, sort of building on the same theme as Catherine. And essentially what I wanted to talk about, there's usually no, quick wins when it comes to languages, but I think that this falls into it. So a lot of times I'm talking with clients that have a team either all over the world, or they're in a country that has, multiple official languages. It's really common that they might have, a system in 1 or 2 languages, but they might have colleagues speaking, a wide variety of different native languages in the team. So if you kind of imagine that scenario, something really nice to do is you can come into your language settings here, And let's consider an example where maybe you have a team in France. Their business language at your organization is English. They're comfortable in that language, but people generally like to be supported and learn in their native language. So what you can do to sort of quickly help them out would be coming in here, pressing this three-dot menu, and adding French as a language, and then setting the UI language to be English. This is an example where you only need a partial translation because maybe the system is only fully available in English. So this will really match what that user is experiencing. So I've done basically a mix and match with my languages. So I'll show you, I'm just going to save that, and I'm going to show you the before so you can see what that looks like just straight out of the box. So if I preview my recording here, I have my English version, of course. I've done a full translation prior to this call of some additional languages. So this was involving our functionality for translation and recapturing the screenshots called replay. But what I'm going to show you now is a simplified version that doesn't involve any recapturing of screenshots. So we can see here, my French version, my screenshots are in English as I requested, and then the text here is in French, with the only exception being the text that comes directly from the user interface. So this would be the way that we could best support our team in France, we could say, or wherever it might be in the world. So in order to get any additional text that you've added, such as my notes at the beginning or whatever your subject matter experts have typed in, it's simply a matter of going to this localization tab here, running a translation on that language like so, and I can just come in and click auto translate. And it's just going to run through and translate the steps. This one has already been done, as you can see, but that's all you need to do. And then if you have a native speaker on the team, they can, of course, come in and add in some finesse as needed or as wanted. So a pretty straightforward way to, make your content available in multiple languages. If you're considering that your business language might be one language and your system might be, only available in that language, but you can still kind of spread it out and help support the team that way. That is our final quick 5-minute win. And now we're going to talk about our favorite functionalities from 2025. As Catherine was saying at the beginning, there's a lot of system updates over the course of a year. So these are some of the bigger changes that we are really excited to be talking about today. And I think we're going to go straight over to you, Morten.
Yeah, you bet. This is not a 5-minute quick win. This is more like a 20-minute slow win, but it's there, I promise. So
it's good.
You all know the UXP, right? I come into UXP, come to accounts, and it'll suggest to me how to edit account information. I can click it, and here we see the English guide because my UI is in English, and of course I can execute the assist, and that will then run and tell me what to do, take me through everything, and that's just mighty fine. But what we have added support for recently is multi-language. So I will switch this to Spanish. And then I'll show you UXP working in Spanish as well. Once CRM wakes up. Okay, it's thinking about it.
CRM it's thinking about switching languages?
Yes, I'm just trying to bring up the options in CRM. Yeah, Microsoft, if you're watching, please fix.
It can take some time sometimes.
Yes. while we're waiting for it, I'm going to go ahead and get set up with a new project here. So we'll just do two things at once. It's just fine. I'll create a new project. And this is for CRM. I'll go next. And I'll do English and French. And let's call it just call it that. I certainly don't have a project with that name. So right. So the language is back. So I'll come to languages and let's switch to Spanish. Okay. So I just need to do a refresh here because I see it's still in English. All right, so now it's in
That
Spanish.
looks Spanish.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to pronounce anything, but let's see if the UXP has caught up. And it sure has. So now home has become casa, and we have habla for chat and so forth. And you'll see that my instruction now is indeed in Spanish, right? In the video, let's go ahead and play the video this time. Sounds amazing. I have no idea what you're saying, but it sounds great. And also, you know, I didn't have to change the URL. I didn't have to do anything. All I did was change the language in CRM, and then UXP automatically switched. So it's super awesome if you're deploying in a multilingual environment, right? Which I know that many of you are. So super awesome. I'll just show you how you set this up with ClickLearn. So let's start out by just making a new recording. For that, I'll have to switch back to English because I have no idea what she's saying. So there we go. English and accept. All right, so we're back. I'm going to go ahead and make a new recording. How to create contacts. I like starting my recordings with navigating home, and that's just for the purpose of replay. If any of you have experience with replay, you'll probably know that it's nice to have the feature built in where you don't need to prepare the system so much. You can just execute it. It also makes for a really nice assist experience because, you know, the user can always let me just do one thing. One moment. Just have to disable this. Right. I just have to start over. There's a little issue with our extension at the moment. It's going to be fixed very soon, I heard. So good.
So you're showing now like the back end authoring side of what you need to do to prepare your content to be in the multi-language UXP.
Yeah, right now I would just go through the flow as I would do as a typical author, right? So I would make my work instruction in one language, I would replay into another, and then I want to be able to create the multi-language UXP, right? I think that's enough. Go ahead and switch this to French. So prior to replaying it, in my case, CRM will ask me if I want to merge an existing record. So I'd have to use another name, because otherwise my process will not complete correctly, right? So since it's French, let's say Diax Boutique. There we go. That looks very French to me. It's probably spelled wrong, but you get the idea. And we'll just save that. Now we have French here, and we will just replay this, okay? So replay in French. There we go.
So when it's replaying, like we're seeing it now, if I can present it from my non-technical perspective, it's essentially looking for that backend object ID for each field, and then recapturing that step in a different user interface language. So it doesn't matter to the system that it's now in French, because the backend names aren't changing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's very well put, Jenna. Because as you said, each function in CRM has a unique technical name that we're just using, and then the language is on top of that, right? So so yeah, it's just cosmetic, the name. But we do pick it all up. So
Nice.
just gonna enable use UXP here. Save changes. All right. So I'm gonna need to create a structure first. So let's just do that. Pop this bad boy in here. Save it. And I'll just translate the name of it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just translating the name, create a new account, right? Because that's not French. We'll want that. So it's translating this. It's all good. Save. Done. And then we can create our UXP configuration. So a default config just means that it's going to create 4 tabs in the UXP, which is home, chat, and notifications. So when I come into tab configuration, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select French. And it's going to ask me if I want to copy from English, like as it is here, or if I want to like create a new one or whatever. I'll just copy what we have, because likely you would have an ongoing UXP project, and now you can finally add multi-language, and then you're adding it on top, right? So I will just type some. I'll type some French words here. So à la maison, and we'll say chat, and I'm sorry, any French people in the chat, I'm sorry for butchering this, but
we do our best.
Yeah, we do our best. So now these are definitely not the same as they were before. So let's just call it that, okay? I'm gonna save changes here, and so basically, I'm pretty much ready. Okay, when I publish it now, it will publish a version which will switch automatically to French, looking like this with my French recordings and everything, and the same for English. And for all other things inside of the user experience panel, such as your notifications, your feature tours, your chats, your dynamic assets, your additional AI sources, like anything you set up here can be tailored for multi-language, okay? So you can define which chat is available in what language, what's the name, which source should that specific language of that chat agent have, and you can tailor everything down to the finest detail. Okay, so yeah, we have full flexibility now with the languages. You can also take it one step further, and I'm just gonna quickly open another project just to show you that very fast.
And I did want to say we do have a chat here, so if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in. For those who might have not heard about that at the beginning of our session.
Sure, Jenna.
Mm.
What I wanted to show here is just that you can also say that, okay, I have an English notification, but I want it to be available in English, but I could also say, okay, I want this English notification to be available in German until we have someone rewrite it, or maybe we don't want to translate it or whatever. So you can kind of mix and match as well. So depending on who is authoring your content, you can actually cross it over if you wish. I'm not sure who made this feature, but I think it's pretty cool that you can actually do such fine control of everything, like dual language, which is awesome. But that is the last thing I wanted to show. So back to you, Catherine.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks. That was great. The last two things I'm going to talk about are actually building on what you just showed. So you laid such a good foundation for what's next. If we can share my screen, I am going to show an example of the system notifications that Morten was just can be translated in multi-language. This is another really that has a lot of use for, and the more we've talked about it in 2025, the more excitement there's been around it. So we really want to highlight it now. Essentially, what you can do is you can push out notifications to everybody who has the UXP installed. And we have three different types. One is intrusive, which we're seeing right now on screen. Obviously, the user has to engage with it. So this is for really important things like site maintenance downtime, for example. Or maybe a new feature release is coming out soon that you want a certain segment to be aware of since it pertains to their workflow. You can absolutely set system notifications out to only go out to certain segments if you have those set up. And then like Morten said, you also can translate these. So when somebody does change their language UI in the application, it shows either in their correct language or the English one if you've set it up that way. But I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of this. The beauty of this is the use cases go well beyond just ClickLearn related things, and they really go more into like your business system. So there's a ton of awesome use cases for that. But what P enables some further configuration of that system notification that we saw live in the system. This is a really good one I recommend when you're rolling out the UXP, just users on what they're looking at, what that side panel is for. It's a really good way to kind of market that and get people to adopt that in-app help is a thing, and that it's really, really helpful. If we wanted to create a new notification, I'm going to go ahead and do that live. So we'll click Create Notification. This is where we have intrusive, which is, again, very important things that you want everybody to engage with. We have subtle pop-ups that are more to the side, so a little less in your face, and then sidebar notifications. I'm going to choose intrusive and select. And then once we do that, we can give it a big title. So I might say new feature coming soon. And then in the notification text, be on the lookout. Enhancement to our lease section. A couple of the really cool things that most people ask, because it's a good question, are can you only show it once per user? And if you scroll down, you absolutely can. So what this means is you could let this notification go out forever, but it's only going to show once per person and once they acknowledge they're never going to see it again, that's a really good one for something that you always want every single person to have seen at least one time, and the management of that is super low. This is where, as Martin was saying, we can set the language. So for EMEA US, choose that. And under triggers to the left here, this is where if I have, additional segments set up, I can specify that here. If I want it to go out to all segments, since that's the only segment I have is one big giant one, that's going to be the case. If this should only go out to your finance team and you have that hooked up in the UXP, it's only going to send out to them, which is really cool that you can talk to your users in your CRM or your ERP system that directly. Last part that I think is pretty relevant is scheduling. So you can set up a notification to go out immediately and then to only turn off when you go in and manually decide it's time to shut this down. A more popular way of doing it is to set a custom start date and a custom end date. So that way you set it and forget it, and it's going to fall off of the system when it's no longer relevant. So if it's a new feature release, we want this to be for the month of February, but we really want it to fall off at the end of the month. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And then if this was a future date, I could hit save and close, and that'll show us the start date hits. If I want it to go live immediately, I'm going to hit set live. And you do not need to republish your project for this notification to go out in your system through the UXP. It's just going to be there immediately, which is another really great feature for managing this. All right. And I would be amiss if we didn't talk about this. One last feature about the user experience panel. So in the UXP, something that is worth noting is we have our chat, we have our suggested content, and we have our assist. So you saw more in earlier showing how basically when you turn assist on, it's going to highlight buttons and move through all of that good stuff to walk a user through exactly what that workflow is. And that does take some ownership, maintenance of somebody who's willing to validate that all of your recordings work successfully in a prod environment. So every button is highlighted correctly to make sure that that's an actual benefit to your users. And like a if you want to consider bringing the user experience panel inside your platform, you don't have the resources to dedicate to making sure Assist works flawlessly. Maybe that's a down the road thing. You can absolutely roll out the UXP with a lighter version of it. So if you come into settings in your project and you have UXP as part of your ClickLearn, if we come inside of the gear setting here on a project, I'll go ahead, publishing template, and make a small configuration change. UXP is rolled out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Entity Portal. And then when I get that drop down opened up, I'm going to click on UXP, and there's a new advanced setting in there that actually allows you to turn Assist off when you roll out the user experience panel. And that's really fantastic because it brings your videos, user use, your step-by-step guides that users are used to watching directly inside of the experience panel. Way easier to get to, way easier to access, and everything that they're is going to be kind of following where they are in app, referencing this training content based on the page they're in. So if we your experience come in to hide, and once that's on, we save changes and we publish. And essentially what it's going to do is for you to roll out your learning content the way your users love it. The step-by-step guides, the video, and push that out in app, and the assist button just isn't going to show. So if you can't commit to that just yet, you can still take one step closer to optimizing and bringing all of that good content inside your business system with no additional effort, just adding the user experience panel.
Nice.
I wrap for all of our content.
Yeah.
So, Jenna, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you for everybody who has joined. We basically just wanted to say, we covered quite a lot of different topics today, and which is always nice. But if there's anything that you are curious to learn more about, or that you're trying out on your own watching this webinar, and you've hit some sort of a roadblock, definitely reach out to us. That you can always reach out if you're lost and don't know who to contact. You can always reach out to support@clicklearn.com or your CSM if you know who they are. But support will always point you in the right direction, as will your CSM. The other place we recommend is our ClickLearn universe, which is a training universe that we have. So we have a lot of different modules in there. It's self-paced learning, step-by-step guides for, it's very, very comprehensive and covering almost every functionality inside of our tool. And then the last place that we always recommend is our community page, ClickLearn Community. They can all be reached via our website, of course, but here you can ask questions, share ideas. You can talk with other clients using ClickLearn all over the world. So we have a nice peer-to-peer exchange on there as well. So yeah, just if you're stuck, always reach out to us. We are so happy to help and very enthusiastic to show off our new features and get you guys get them out to your team as well. But thank you guys for listening. If we had any technical difficulties with the audio at the beginning of the session, we'll do some movie magic after, and we will, of course, upload the recording and have it nice and polished off. But thank you guys for joining today. And thank you, Morten and Catherine.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.